It's been dark way too long in this place. That bright smile long gone been replaced. From ear to ear I see that fear in your face. Tell me when the last time you felt safe, cause there's some evil people in the streets. Evil at your front door, creeping while you sleep. It's time to raise up, show that evil we ain't weak. We don't turn the other cheek, I can show you how to be strong. Come on, follow me. Heard you looking for a hero. Well, look up. No more running from the bad guy, I'ma stare him in the eye like, what's up? I know the journey got hard for a minute, but I ain't giving this up. Yeah, I got the heart of a champion. If I get knocked down, I get back up. We go.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much. Just a little touch late. It's me, my technical difficulties. But as always, I am here. And before we jump in, I want to give a trigger warning. I always do because, I want to just give a gentle reminder that Insights of a Survivor sometimes discuss sensitive topics, including trauma, abuse, and lived experiences of survival. So these conversations are real, they're raw, and sometimes they can get a little heavy. So please take care of yourself while listening. Step away if you need to, and come back if or when you feel ready, okay? Because your well-being will always, always, always come first. So welcome to Insights of a Survivor, the podcast where real stories of trauma, survival, and healing are shared with honesty, courage, and heart. I'm your host, PJ, a survivor, overcomer, and advocate for those reclaiming their lives after trauma. Through this space, I create a platform for survivors to be seen, heard, and empowered, because your story does not end in pain. That's been my tagline, you guys. I'm sticking with that. Your story doesn't end in pain, it begins in power. So each episode, we dive into personal journeys, sometimes mine, sometimes the guests, and we offer insights, tools, and encouragement to help you and others navigate your own healing process. From sharing my own experiences to amplifying the voices of courageous survivors, my goal is to remind you that no matter how dark your past may feel, there's hope, growth, and strength on the other side. So whether you're here to reflect, to find guidance, or simply to know you're not alone, I welcome you to Insights of a Survivor, where every story matters and healing becomes possible. So today, we have Miss Carolyn Murphy. She is the founder and CEO of Firm Foundations Community, and she is known as the Mindset Shift Coach. I believe she just did a little shifting herself, so I'm going to touch a little bit more with her about that. She has been here before, but the last time we were having so many technical difficulties, we just had to invite her back because she wasn't even able to share her story the way she could have. Because Miss Carolyn is a survivor and an overcomer of both childhood and post-childhood trauma. She calls herself the voice of the wilderness, crying out to all that there's life on the other side of trauma. She is also the author of God, Why Did You Save Me? And she dedicates her life to helping people shift their minds, break free from the past, and step into a life of purpose, freedom, and wholeness. With a BA in organizational leadership, Tennessee CPRS certification, and an MBA in progress, she blends both expertise and heart in her work. When she's not guiding others, Miss Carolyn loves to, self-care. She loves to reflect, and she loves to transform her life. And now I would love to welcome you as we join me in welcoming, Miss Carolyn. I told you it's been one of those days. Miss Carolyn Murphy to our show, that she could share her journey of transformation and growth. I'm putting her on right now. Give me a second. There we go. Hi, Miss Carolyn.
Hello. Can you hear me good?
I hear you great. Thank you so much for coming back. I know the last time it was just not fun. We were trying to get you on. Okay, my camera, whatever. We're trying to get you on. See, now today is me. I'm not freezing. It's one of those days, but you know what they say. When you have one of those days, you show up anyway. So
that's right.
Show up anyway.
Exactly.
So thank you for coming back. We've been trying to get you on here for almost a year now, Miss Carolyn. That's okay, because that just means that your story is going to be one that's a game changer for us, and something was trying to prevent us, and we never stopped. We never gave up. So thank you again for coming to share your story with us, Miss Carolyn. How have you been?
I've been well, and as I'm saying now, I'm walking in expectancy.
Yes, ma'am. good. Great. That's beautiful. So let's just jump in there. Can you kind of share with us a little about your early experiences with trauma and how they shaped your life and who you are today?
Okay. I am a survivor and thriver of childhood trauma. My first incident was sexual trauma. I was molested by an adult man, and I was between the ages of 4 and 6. Um, After that, I am the oldest of 6 children. So the first sibling passed from brain tumors, and she was 2, I was 1. And then the last 2 siblings perished in a house fire when I was 8 years old. I grew up during a time where children were seen and not heard. You couldn't even express your emotions. So, nevertheless, when you are never able to express yourself, you turn inward. I ended up, I didn't know then, but I know now that I began to wear a mask, and it was the smiley face mask. And I ended up becoming a perfectionist, a workaholic, a fixer, um, and fear ruled my life. So it was fear of abandonment, fear um, of success, fear of failure, fear. Then it was guilt and shame. And again, I was born to teenage parents, so my grandmother raised me. Even though I saw her pray, I saw her read her word, I didn't latch on to my faith, my relationship with the Lord until at least my late 30s. Um, so when when a child has been violated, it, for lack of a better word, it warps your mindset. And so those seeds are planted that you are not good, you ain't gonna be nothing. And these are words that were spewed upon me. I didn't know that those poisonous words took root. Uh, Even though when a person said, you ain't gonna do this, I made sure that I did it. But like I said, trauma, one of the things that I want people to know that if unhealed trauma will jade, for lack of a better word, your future. And so I tell people that, you can run from your trauma, but your trauma is going to catch up. And you can ignore it, as you're coming up, but it manifests itself in our adult lives in so many ways that we don't even recognize. So I am a mental and emotional health advocate. My new title is the Purpose Breakup Coach, and I, with the Lord's help, he let me know that it's not breaking up with a spouse or a significant other. It's breaking up with fear. And so the Lord gave me my signature talk. I broke up with fear, which was a declaration. But yet every day I wake up, I have to break up with fear every day. So, like you said earlier, we go, but we even if we go scared.
You so much. That's beautiful. I love it. I love it. I couldn't wait to hear the breakup with fear because I already knew that, and I like hearing you talk about that. So, at what point did you realize that surviving trauma didn't just mean getting through it, but also reclaiming your life and living without? I'm not gonna say because it's impossible to live completely without fear, but with fear that's
Mhm.
gonna to paralyze you. When did you
Yes.
when did what point did you realize that you needed to survive the trauma and get through it and reclaim your life?
My evolvement happened in 2018. I remember the Lord coming to me and said, "Okay, it's time for you to give me your life because you've made a mess of it." I couldn't argue with it. I couldn't argue with it, and I'm like, "Okay, God," because the best way that I can describe it, in the spirit, I've always saw me like I'm moving in slow motion. You know how in the movie everything around you is going at a fast pace, but you're moving in a slow motion, or I'm standing in an invisible box, and I've always desired more. I knew I was meant for more, but because fear has such a grip on me. And so the Lord began to show me in 23, 2023, early 2023, that fear is the shackles around our ankles and our wrists. And we don't realize when we are gripped with fear, we actually we ended up calling it our comfort zone because we begin to shield ourselves, and we don't realize we're shielding ourselves from everything and everybody. You don't take risks. You don't go after anything that you think you're going to fail. And so it hindered my relationship with people. It hindered my relationship even with the Lord. And so the Lord started showing me, He said, well, though comfort zone is a cute little word, but it becomes your prison. So we end up creating our own prison and not even realizing it. So it was really 2023 when the Lord began to show me that He can't use us as long as we're standoffish, as long as we're sitting in our little cubicle of fear. He can't use us the way that He desires to use us, because it's going to take us coming out of our comfort zone to do anything, whether in the spirit or in the natural. Because I've heard, and I now know, we don't grow. There is no growth sitting in our comfort zone.
Very true. Very true. I'm kind of the opposite. I have been told that I'm not, I don't have enough fear because I'll just do stuff. That's how I ended up in Costa Rica, because I'll just go. But I really believe that, when you stay in your comfort zone, you close yourself out to so many blessings and so many opportunities to grow and to teach and to learn. There's so many things out there, but I love that. I love that. So you describe yourself as a voice in the wilderness. Can you
Yes, a
explain what
voice
that
in the
means?
wilderness.
Can you explain what that
Um,
means? Okay.
Yes, and the reason I say a voice in the wilderness, because when you are endowed with fear, doubt, guilt, it's like you in the wilderness. You're shut off from the world. You're not growing. If you know anything about the wilderness, it's a lot of times there's no life there. And so I say that because I am one of the ones that was in the wilderness, to let women know that there is life on the other side of trauma, but you got to do the work. And so that's my way of describing it. I'm in this thing with you. I'm walking beside you. I'm that encouraging, voice that you need to hear. There's another title that the Lord gave me, the professional listener. And ever since I was a little kid, people have always gravitated to me and just tell me everything. But I didn't have anybody I can talk to. And so one of my first services that I created was the listening sessions. And so the listening sessions is just what it is: somebody on the other end of the telephone just listening, without interruption, without judgment, and without trying to fix it. And I firmly believe that there's so many people walking around angry because they just didn't have anybody to listen to them. And so the Lord began to break down to me. He said, there's a difference between hearing someone and listening to someone. And when you are hearing someone, you're multitasking, you're listening just enough to even respond. But when you're truly listening, and I call that a gift, when you're truly listening to someone, you're doing exactly what you're doing. You're nodding your head. You're validating that that person is, their emotions are real. Their feelings are real. And, like I said, if you say anything, just your presence is a blessing. And that's how I also go into dealing with grief. A lot of us tend to just fly away. We just ghost the person. And I think I liken this unto Job when he was going through all that he was going through, and his friends sat there quietly with him for 7 days. That was comforting. It may not look like it, but it was comforting until they opened their mouth and began to fault him, find fault. It's like, what did you do to make God do? And So, and that's one of the things I let people know. If you got somebody who is grieving over anything, but especially someone that has passed on, just go there and sit with them. It makes a world of a difference. If they don't allow you in, just keep texting them, keep calling. Hey, I'm just checking on you. I love you. That means a lot. And I probably went way over, but
No, you're fine. No, that's active listening. That's what a lot of people need is active listening.
Mhm,
Someone that's going to sit there and just pay attention and listen and speak when
mhm.
they need to speak. And like you
Yes.
said, if it's just, I mean, honestly, I would text someone every once in a while and just say, "Hey, how
Mhm.
you doing?" And you don't understand what that would do for someone. People,
Yes.
they love that. No one else texts me, and you were the only one that, even though it was once every 2 or 3 weeks, you still checked in on me. That means a lot to people. So no,
Mhm,
that is wonderful. So
mhm,
I mean, that's what we all need, because sometimes when you listen, you don't realize that you're not actually listening. People listen to respond. They don't listen to actually
mhm,
hear you.
mhm,
So
mhm,
you wrote a book. Why did God? Why did you save me? How
mhm.
did your writing help you process your experiences and turn your pain into your purpose?
Mm. Well, the Lord told me in my early 20s that I was going to write a book. And at that time I was a single mother. And I'm like, okay, God. And it just went in one ear and went out the other. Not until I was, I think, my early 50s. And I'm 50. Well, let's see. No, I was late 40s. So I was like 46, 47 when I wrote the book. And having to, because when you are on your healing journey, your recovery journey. So to me, those are two different things. Your healing journey, for me, your spiritual healing journey. And so when you've experienced childhood trauma, you consistently bury things. And a lot of times we bury it so deep that we don't remember stuff. So it was scary having to remember these things. So I remember tidbits, but when it comes to the book, I had to remember how things smell, how things look, how I felt. And that was a place I didn't want to go. And I drew back 3 times. The first 2 times that I drew back, I remember the Lord came to me. He said, "You have a story to tell and you must tell it." And then the second time he said, "If you don't tell it, you know, the person that needs to hear it won't hear it." And when I drew back the third time, my baby sister, who was 8 years younger than me, she was like, what did she say? She said, "You earned the right to tell your story." She said, "Are you trying to?" She asked me, "Was I trying to be mean and malicious when I tell my story?" I was like, "No." She said, "Well, you need to go on and tell your story." And she said, "Just pray and ask the Lord to give you the strength to do it." So telling my story, what helped me was those things. But like I said, I had to realize this is bigger than me. If God is the one telling me to do this, it's for a multitude of reasons. And then I eventually realized that that's a part of my healing journey, my book. And so when I talk to people about their healing journey or their recovery journey, because that's the question they ask me, "Why did you write a book?" And it was so explicit, and I'm like, "Look, that's a part of my healing journey. May not be yours." So, and I tell people, don't look at somebody's journey and think you got to do what they do, because that's not it. So that book, was a part of my healing journey, and which paved the way for me to be where I am today.
Live that trauma. That's one of the bravest things that people don't understand that. So congratulations and to you for even overcoming that. You might have already answered the next question. Then what was your biggest challenge that you faced in overcoming your trauma and transforming your mindset in your
Mm,
healing journey? I know that, like you said, you had that book. That book is probably one of the bigger ones, because reliving that stuff
yeah,
is not fun. But
yeah.
I'll let you answer.
Well, the I think my biggest journey besides the book was actually changing my mindset, and that's why emphasize that if you are a believer, if you're a believer of Jesus Christ, you have to take God's word about what he says about you, and you need to not only, I say sleep, eat, and breathe it. You can turn certain scriptures into affirmations, and it's not going to happen overnight. It needs to be consistent, because back in the day, I did a little bit of therapy here and there. I did affirmations here and there, but not until I got on this journey for real. I learned that consistency is key. And so through the Lord's help, he gave me a framework, and it's called the Dare to Break Up with Fear framework. And it's D for decide. You decide that it's time to stop allowing fear to have such a hold on you. A for acknowledge the root. Remember, when did that fear hit your life? Were you a child? Um, and the R for refrain. Again, changing your mindset, dwelling in the word of the Lord, saying your affirmations, and even when I sleep, I turn on the word. So you have to sleep, eat, and breathe the word. Um, Also, mindfulness. That's a big one for me. Practicing mindfulness. And as I practice mindfulness, gratitude. Just start rattling off everything you're grateful for. And then the last one, which is E, execute. So if there's fear, if God has told you to do something and you have yet to do it, um, just think of the smallest task concerning that big thing that God is calling you to, and just do it. Not until, what the word says, we walk by faith. Until we actually get out there and do it, that's not walking in faith. You can't stand still and be in faith. So I encourage anyone, again, if you are a believer, God cannot use you until you say yes. You can give him a weak yes and start moving. After a while, your weak yes becomes strong.
Nice. That's beautiful. Thank you so much for that. So, how did you, how did your journey lead you to become the Mind Shift coach and start Firm Foundations community
The
outreach?
Lord. Uh, again, my first task that the Lord gave me, I was reading a daily devotion for women, and because the Lord would tell you to do things just to see if you're going to be obedient. And so my first task was to start reading my daily devotion and record myself and put it out there. I'm like, oh Lord, I'm not doing that. And I did not do it. I'm just going to tell you the truth. About the third year, that's when he put it in me to start the business, and I began to research it. And I came across a book about marketing yourself, and you have to be different than everybody else. And I was like, well, Lord, how am I going to be different? What do you want me to do? And I said, I'll do whatever you want me to do. The next thing I heard was read the daily devotions and record yourself. And I'm like, oh Lord. I said, okay, I'm gonna keep my word. That was my first task. Now going live, I still haven't done that yet, except with just you and others. But to actually put the phone up and talk to the phone going live, now that's a fear I haven't conquered yet. But I just want us to know that one tiny step towards that task, that's all God is asking you for. And that's what I did. I began to do that. And right after that, the book came. Right after that, me being a guest on podcasts, he just constantly gave me steps that I had to climb.
Yes, and I love that because there are a lot of people feel like if they have something that they want, a goal that they want to, achieve, they have to go from
Mm,
0 to 100, but that's
mm,
not where it goes. So I love that you explained that of one baby step, even if it's just to
mhm.
open the book, Open the book and
Mm-hmm.
start writing. Open the page, write. Come up with a title. If you want, if it's your goal to write a book, just come up
Mm-hmm.
with a title.
Yes.
That's a step. So I love that you said that. I love that. So can you share a pivotal moment when you realized your story could inspire and
Mm.
empower others?
Um, I knew if the Lord was telling me to write it, it was for others. I think back in the Word when when He says we get saved so we can save others. So He already instilled it in me that I'm meant for bigger things, and whatever He asks me to do is not for my benefit; it's for the benefit of others. Again, this is the only reason. Well, I ain't gonna say the only, but the main reason why I've continued to step in this direction, because I still hear the enemy, or I still hear the enemy within me. Oh, you can't say this. You're not qualified. So again, like you said, the tiny steps daily. But when it comes to the book, you don't have to put it in your mind, okay, I got to write a book. We don't realize our journaling can turn into the book. So I tell people, if you've been journaling for years, you could just probably hand over your journals, if you feel comfortable doing that, to a publisher. And that's your book right there. That's your book right there. So it's not anything hard, except when you to me when you've gone through the big T, what I call the big T trauma. Now just trying to rehash that stuff, but again, your journaling is your book, and probably several books at that.
Very true. Very true. You don't know what you have in your face until you
Hmm.
look at it. I'm glad that you point to, and that's another thing. There's so many things that we already have done. We just
Hmm.
don't realize it at
Hmm.
the time. So that's a beautiful, beautiful way to look at it. Thank you so much. So again, you answered this question a little bit, but if you can go into more details about what tools, practices, or mindset shifts have you been the most transformative for your personality? I know that you kind of, like I said, you touched on that with eat, sleep, breathe. You know the
Hmm.
word. That's one of your ways that you kind of help with your mind shift. What other tools would you use for that?
Affirmations, the affirmations, journaling. I think journaling is known as a top, you know, thing to do. But journaling, affirmations, practicing gratitude, those are the main three. And then another one I love to do is I've loved to watch comedy. After a long day at work, and I've been in my head all day or something, I run to the house and find comedy. Some of it is explicit, but I mostly listen to the clean one. But I just sit here, or a good movie, and I just sit here and laugh till I just roll off the bed. And I do that for hours, and after that, I'm good.
Nice. That's one. You know what? That's you are one of the first ones that actually said I sit down and just take care of myself. That's a
Mhm.
form of self care. You make yourself laugh so that you can get all that laughter. Kind of cleanses your soul. You know, it gets all that bad out. So that's good. No worries about the explicit. We all listen to a little Eddie Murphy or Richard Pryor now and then. I still listen to Richard Pryor. I'm not gonna lie. So um, so how do you maintain your own healing and resilience while helping others navigate theirs? Because that's a hard one. Like when you're helping someone fight, go through theirs, you can. People don't understand that when we take on this role, we can also ourselves become triggered when helping. How do you maintain your healing while navigating through that?
I still see my therapist. I have my therapist on speed dial. I tell anybody, God has sent me to the Black church, and even more specifically, the ministerial staff. And the reason I say this is because a lot of us Christians are sitting up in church contemplating suicide, and even attempting it after we leave church. And a lot of us are like the question, God, why did you save me? A lot of times when we're going through, we're asking God all these type of questions. God, why did you save me? Why am I here? if I'm just you just gonna make me here and I'm just gonna go through this suffering, I might as well just die. All these type of things. So I let people know just because we are called doesn't exempt us from going through. Um, and so the thing is he allow us to go through so we can lean more on him. And so I have my therapist. I still see my therapist. And that's what I tell people now. Find you a therapist now while your life is kind of quiet now, because it's a lengthy process. It's a lengthy process. Um, but I also say when it comes to us as Black people, I know we want a therapist that looks just like us. But God may not want you to have a Black therapist. He might want you to have somebody else of a different, race. And so I say some help is better than no help. You see a therapist until you find the one that you want. Again, some help is better than no help. So that's how I can still help me, because I know I talk my therapist's ear off, but that's what she's there for. And that's what I tell people. If you are deemed the strong one in your circle, everybody coming to you, but you don't have anybody to go to, okay, we got to find an outlet somewhere. So your therapist, you just don't seek a therapist because of a crisis. You can just find a therapist so you can just talk to them, get things off your chest. You know, because a therapist is a licensed professional that has tools that they can give you to help you through what you need to go through.
I'm talking and I'm still on mute. Sorry about that. I mean, and that is the most honest thing I
Mhm.
agree with that, because I don't everyone does therapy. Everyone has um their own thing, but like if we don't have someone else to
Mhm.
talk to and we're putting everybody's pressure on, we're gonna feel that, you have to let that go. And there's no shame in that, getting that help from
Mhm.
somebody, none. That's another problem that a lot of us with, we struggle with, is even wanting to go
Mhm.
get the help. Even though it's getting a lot better, you don't see a lot of Black people even wanting therapy. And again, like you said, when they do, they want someone that looks like us. I lucked out and found a Black woman who was really, really, really helpful to me. But I also have had some white therapists, some, you know, all the other
Mhm.
cultures. They'll just say that. I don't want to start pointing out. That has been just as good for me. So I love that you expressed that. Find someone that
Mhm.
can help you. Doesn't matter, because I've had people who look like me who made
Mhm.
things worse. So it doesn't really matter if they're not professional. Find what's
Yes.
best for you. So, last question. Well, last two questions. For survivors listening who feel stuck in their past trauma, what would you say to encourage them to take the first step towards freedom and purpose? And how could they reach you if they want to work with you? And also, I'm going to ask you to send me your link so I can put it in the description
Okay.
after
Okay.
this as well.
When it goes back to the DARE framework that I said earlier, decide. D for the decide. You have to decide. Okay, right now I'm done. I'm done allowing fear hold me back. I'm done with living in fear. And like you said earlier, there's two types of fear. There is the physical fear that keeps us safe. We need that. But then there's the spirit of fear that keeps us bound. And so, how you know the difference is you are afraid to do everything. There are people who are afraid to go outside, to go, out in society. Um, so So if you are a person that has not started your recovery journey, find a therapist. Even I mean, because it's not hard to find a therapist. I mean, they're all online now. If you don't want to go to see a therapist, really there is no excuse in this day and time to find a therapist. If you have insurance, look at your card, call the customer service number and say, hey, do I have coverage for mental health? They will tell you yes or no. And if you do, I think they'll ask for your zip code and email you a list of therapists in your area that accept your insurance. Again, there's online therapists. Um, And then maybe if anybody you trust and you ask them about a therapist, get referrals. Social workers, there's sometimes social workers have converted to being a therapist. Find a social worker that can probably point you in the direction to a therapist. But finding a therapist is the second thing you need to do after you decided, okay, I can't live like this any longer. As far as working with me, I'm on social media, Facebook, LinkedIn, TikTok, Instagram. I have a little landing page, carolynjmurphy.com, and that's where I have my Dare to Break Up with Fear guide. You can download that for free. But and then I have the listening sessions. Again, the listening sessions is just me on the other side, whether we on video or whether we on the phone, and you can just spew your little heart out. Because one thing that I have learned is that people want you to listen to them. They don't necessarily want you to fix anything. And like we said earlier, people hear you enough and then they want to try to fix it, or they just stop you midstream. So that's not how I do it. And this service was created because I wished I had somebody who would listen to me.
Thank you so much. Oh, we got through it, Miss Carolyn. We got through it. I'm like, okay, she's gonna get on this show one of these days. And I thank you so much, so much for coming out. I thank you for being patient, and because you guys don't understand on the background, Miss Carolyn was on, hey, did we reschedule? Then I think we were scheduled for August. I don't even know what happened to the August one. It just flew by. August was a bad month for me, you guys, not gonna lie, but it just flew by. And then, we got this together. So I'm grateful that we finally was able to hear your story, your powerful story. And I appreciate you sharing it with myself and with my
It was an
audience.
honor.
Thank you so much. And I'm going to put, if you send me your,
Mhm.
I have you on social media, at least on my Facebook. I can add
Okay.
that link to my description and carolynjmurphy.com. That's it. I can remember that. And I'm going to add all of that to the description. So you guys, you want to download that book or that guide, and if you want to, request her service just to sit there, just to listen. Because I was able to talk to her off of the computer. So I do know she is a really good listener. Please don't hesitate to reach out. She's here to help. She's a wonderful woman. You guys don't understand. She's a wonderful woman, as you can see. So thank you so much, Miss Carolyn, for sharing your story. And I appreciate you being as patient with me as you have been. Because I'm saying, you guys, I think I met her at the beginning of this year. She was supposed to be on their show in February, then June and July. So I thank you for being patient with me.
You know something? It's an honor. It's an honor because I learned not to rush anything. When it's time, it's time. And I'm just happy that
Mhm.
we are connected.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Mhm.
Yes. Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much. You have a wonderful, blessed weekend. Thank you. And we're going to be talking to each other. So we're in groups. She's a member of one of my groups. I think I'm a member of one of
Yes.
hers. So we see each other on a regular. So I will be seeing you soon, Miss Carolyn. Things to talk with you about anyway. So
Okay.
check your messenger in the next couple of
Okay.
weeks.
Love
I'll keep
you.
up with you.
Good
Love you.
night.
Good night. Oh, I'm so glad that we were finally able to get her on. You just don't understand. Miss Carolyn is her spirit and her energy, as you can see, is just so genuine. And I love that I was finally able to share that with you guys. Um, but I do always, if anything, before closing out, I want to ensure that anyone who needs access to real support, or if you used to know someone who's experiencing any type of trauma, I like to give out a resource. I thought I had more, but I guess I will share the National Domestic Violence Hotline with you guys again. I shared Rain last week. I'm gonna try to get some more resources on here, but the National Domestic Violence Hotline for anyone who's experiencing any domestic violence, or if anyone is having any type of trauma, they may be able to guide you to other resources as well. You can call 1-800-799-SAFE, 1-800-799-7233, or visit the www.thehotline.org. So as we wrap up today's episode, I want to take a moment and speak directly to anyone who's listening, who has survived or is currently surviving any type of trauma. If it's you, I want you to hear that you are not alone. Your story does matter. I want to thank Miss Carolyn for being on the show today. As we listen to her journey, I want you all to pause and recognize something important, that your strength is really, really real. Even if it doesn't always feel that way, it's real. Every moment that you've survived, every moment that you've chosen to keep going despite the pain is proof of your courage. Because healing is not easy at all. As she stated, even in, Miss Carolyn stated, she had her ups and downs. I've had mine. But it doesn't follow a schedule. Every stop you take is a stop towards reclaiming your life. Every step, not stop, my bad, is towards reclaiming your life. And that in itself is a victory. Miss Carolyn's story reminds us that even in the darkest moments, transformation is possible. And a life of freedom, purpose, joy, and a life free from fear is still waiting for you on the other side of that trauma. You're not defined by the hardship you face. Every choice you make to rise, to show up, and to speak your truth matters. Just by being here, listening, or investing in your own growth, you're creating ripples of hope and healing that reach far beyond yourself. And as you can see, Miss Carolyn's journey serves as a powerful reminder of what is possible. But it is your own bravery, your own commitment that fuels the change in your life that strengthens our community of survivors. Like she said, consistency. So if this episode spoke to you, I please encourage you to subscribe and share with someone who needs to hear this message. Leave a review, comment, let me know what resonated with you, what gave you insight, what gave you hope, what helped you, and reframe your mind, do your mindset. Okay. And I also would like to ask, I hate doing this. This is the worst part to me. You guys don't understand, but your contribution, if this episode spoke to you, your contribution helps us produce more episodes, share with more survivors, share more stories, and provide encouragement and tools that people need to continue their own healing. By supporting this work, you also allow us to host events. I have so many events, webinars, and programs, a retreat coming up next year that helps people in our community with guidance, inspirations, and even resources. There are so many things, like I said, you don't even know. And if you are able, please consider donating or sponsoring this platform. Your support directly empowers survivors, and it expands our reach. It expands my reach to strengthen the work that I do for this community and the people that I work with to help strengthen this community every single day. We want to make sure that our community grows. You'll see the link scrolling at the bottom, or it's in my captions right now. Screenshot it. I'll put it in the descriptions also. And I want you guys to give if possible, because again, the work we do is for this community, and it will strengthen every single person every single day. So remember again that your story does not end in pain. It begins in power. Keep your head up, keep your heart open, and never stop fighting to heal and live free. Thank you so much for tuning in. You guys have a wonderful, wonderful weekend.
Heard you looking for a hero. Well, look up. No one running from dark way too long in this place. That bright smile long gone been replaced. From ear to ear, I see that fear in your face. Tell me when the last time you felt safe, cause there's some evil people in the streets. Evil at your front door, creeping while you sleep. It's time to raise up, show that evil we ain't weak. We don't turn the other cheek. I can show you how to be strong. Come on, follow me. Heard you looking for a hero. Well, look up. No more running from the bad guy. I'ma stare him in the eye like, what's up? I know the journey got hard for a minute, but I ain't giving this up. Yeah, I got the heart of a champion. If I